Thank you, Mr Speaker, and the Green Party is very happy to support, as every other party in this House is, the Carter Observatory Act repeal bill. It's taken years to get through this House. No particular explanation as to why. I suppose it just is a lack of priority. But finally, we are passing this bill tonight. But it does have, while everyone has been waxing eloquent about the wonderful National Carter Observatory, about the incredible asset it is to Wellington, about the way it generates so much interest amongst schools as a science centre, as an education centre. Nevertheless, the harsh reality is that 72 years after its founding, we are presiding over the transformation of a once great national astronomical observatory into a tourism attraction and an education centre. And I think that actually is rather sad, that we are today losing our national observatory. And I just wanted to, I made the point in the committee stages about the very interesting report that the Australian astronomer and Professor Mike Bessell, wrote in 2005 when he was commissioned to review the Carter Observatory by the Ministry of Science and Technology. And I just want to quote from a couple of parts of his report, because he points out, he says, among all the sciences, astronomy has the unique power to reveal the true scope of the outside world. This immense and enduring appeal of astronomy to the public allows it to act as a powerful science magnet. And I think that's what many have been acknowledging, the incredible interest of science students in astronomy. And it goes on, at the elementary school level, teachers know that the two scientific topics that are guaranteed to excite their students are dinosaurs and outer space. The lecturers in these courses know from long experience that a palpable hush falls over the class whenever topics such as black holes, the search for other planets, Earth-crossing asteroids, or the origins of the universe are brought up. And it points out astronomy among all the sciences has the highest relative participation by non-professionals. And for this reason, the report points out that astronomical research is increasing in other countries such as Europe, such as America, such as Canada, such as Australia. So it is rather tragic that here in New Zealand we're going in the opposite direction, that we're closing our national observatory. And as he pointed out in his report, and two other reports also point out, basically it is closing. The main key reason is the lack of adequate financial resources. It talked about how the Carter Observatory has languished over the years through lack of funding. It talked about how we have a much smaller percentage of research and development funding available for astronomical research in New Zealand. So it is extraordinary that we have such a tiny percentage of funding available for astronomical research. That is a bit of an indictment, and it talks about the fact that the funding through the Marsden Fund is simply not adequate to sustain an astronomical or a national observatory. And for that reason, and really that reason alone, we are presiding here today over the demise of a once great national observatory which has been around for 72 years. So as I pointed out also in my committee stages, I am concerned about the continued funding and viability of the Carter Observatory, even in its new guise as a visitor, as a tourism attraction and as an education centre. And I pointed out that the professor in his report emphasises that no planetarium or science centre in the world can survive through gate takings alone, that they have to be supported by local or national government funding. And that is my worry, The Wellington City Council has stepped into the breach. I guess it's a breach really that is by the national governments, which not this particular national government, but successive governments have failed to provide the funding that is needed to sustain a national observatory. So now the Wellington City Council has stepped into the breach, but they have only guaranteed funding for the next 10 years. So what is going to happen after that? And yes, it's wonderful to have this science centre. Yes, it's been refurbished. Recently refurbished and reopened just over a month ago, and it is a fantastic centre. It is a great tourism asset to Wellington. We hope that it will be, very much will continue to attract visitors. Wayne Matt was talking about the survey today showing that Wellington is the number one winter destination for tourists in New Zealand. And that is largely because of all of these interesting things, such as the Carter Observatory and many other assets that we have here in Wellington. But it is a worry. Is the Wellington City Council really going to provide the funding to keep it as a genuine educational centre and to keep it as a world-class tourism asset? So those are the concerns that we have as we support this bill today. And as we preside over the demise of our once great National Observatory. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker. I call John Boscawen.